What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I flipped my first $1,000 into over $10,000 in just 60 days of reselling. That was a few years ago when I did it, but now after working with over 600 clients one-on-one, I'm going to tell you the number one things that you should do and the things that you should avoid doing. So your first $1,000 is the most difficult part because you are limited by capital. And when I'm talking about capital, I mean cash, credit, whatever you can use to go and buy inventory that you can then go flip. So let me give you an example of how you're limited. Let's say these Travis Scotts right here, you could buy as many of them as you want from me for retail. Let's just say retail's $200 for a whole number, right? If you only have $1,000, you can only buy 5 pairs. Versus if you had unlimited capital, you could maybe buy, all my pairs that I had, right? The problem is, like lower starting amounts of capital, you end up having to decide which shoes to buy and which ones to leave behind. So when you're starting out, because you have to leave shoes behind, it is extremely important to be buying the right shoes. And the right shoes when you're new are quick moving shoes that are going to make you profits within the next 1 to 2 weeks that you can then go and reinvest that money again. In the beginning, when you have such low capital, the only thing that matters is buying shoes and flipping them over and over and over again. Eventually, the game will change where you can afford to wait for shoes. That's really where you can scale, but when you're starting out, you just have to focus on volume. So I would stick to buying shoes like these GT cuts. I've sold 20 plus pairs of these in the past, just this colorway. So I know it makes me money, right? And if I can get them for, this was the price with 30+% off as well. I'm paying around $60 after discounts and taxes on these, and they sell all day around $130 to $150. These are the type of shoes that I'm buying. I'd probably stay away from something like this that just doesn't sell as fast. That doesn't mean the shoe isn't profitable. It just doesn't sell nearly as fast as again, GT2 cut would. Now, if you're starting with low capital, I still recommend just trying using your own cash for the first 2 to 4 weeks. And then eventually, once you understand what you're doing, you can reach out and use credit, which is kind of my best friend when it comes to starting a reselling business. So I'm not going to give you guys any credit advice, but what I did personally is open up my first ever credit card. I had a $3,000 limit on it. So instead of playing with just 1K, I had 4,000 I was dealing with, which makes it a lot easier to flip. I could buy way more shoes. Now, I want you to realize credit is debt and debt is risk. So when you're using credit for any purchases, it's not really your own money, but that is a plus side where you can leverage it. So I didn't have access to $4,000 in funds, but through credit I did, which means I could pretend and basically buy as if I had $4,000 worth of funds. And again, the idea of it is you go buy $4,000 worth of shoes, you sell it for around $5,000 or $6,000, you pay off your cards, you keep the profit, everyone's happy. This 3 or 4x my business because instead of only being able to buy 4 or 5 pairs of these, I could buy 20 pairs, right? The bigger example of it, I could buy more shoes, which means I had more inventory to sell, which means I had more money coming in, which means more money means more shoes, right? It's a bigger snowball effect. So the quicker you increase your capital, the quicker you can scale once you know what you're doing. Another big tip, if I only had $1,000, I would primarily focus on in-store sourcing. The reason being is when you go buy that shoe, you could sell it the same day. Versus online sourcing, some of these websites take over a week to get to you. That's a week of your money being dead cash, right? It can't move, it's just dead money. You honestly need to be flipping as quickly as possible and getting those quick returns. That way you can go and invest more. So I highly recommend doing in-store. You can do online if it makes sense, right? But in-store, you can buy 5 shoes that same day, sell them that same day, and then go back again, right? Online, you can't really do that because there are payout times too. So you have to realize that. And for those who don't know what a payout time is, if I take a shoe and I sell it, I have to ship it to Goat or StockX, right? It takes probably 2, 3, 4 days for them to get it. And then I end up getting paid a few days later. And then that money still takes time to get to my bank. So the entire process of flipping a shoe will at least take 3, 4, 5 days, depending on where you're at and how quick it takes to ship there, right? But still, it takes time for you to get your money back before you can go buy more shoes. And when you don't have a lot of money, like only $1,000, if you go spend it all, let's say you buy $1,000 worth of shoes online, it takes a week to get to your house, takes 2 weeks to sell, then another few days to get paid. That's a 3, 4 week process just for one flip of that $1,000, right? That really sucks because during that whole 3, 4 weeks, you can't buy any other shoes, even if the opportunity is right in front of you. There's one other way to avoid the payout time, and that's selling locally. I've never really personally sold locally, but I know a lot of people that do, and they are successful doing it. Just know there's some other hiccups with it, right? You have to meet up with people, and it could be potentially dangerous. Again, I'm not saying you guys should do it or not. Just realize, hey, you get paid that same day, which is pretty cool. That's a benefit of selling locally. There's a few other money and time savers that you could use. Number one would be discount codes, right? So we're talking online sales, in-store sales, using those discount codes to get shoes even cheaper, which again, just increases your margin, which just makes you more money on the same amount of flips. Another big thing would be using discount services like Rakuten or Top Cashback. These are all cashback services. So when you're shopping online, which you're probably already doing, or even in store, you can get cashback for not having to do anything else. Same thing with the credit I was showing you. So me personally, I recommend using the Apple Card when you're sourcing from Nike. It's not a must-have, but you get 3% cash back at Nike. Sometimes it even goes up to 6%. That's a lot of money when you're spending $10, $20, $30, $100,000 a year at Nike. But overall, the number one thing that you have to do to be successful in reselling, don't take your profit. Don't touch your money. Reinvest it all. I understand you might want a really cool pair of shoes for yourself. I understand you might want to eventually get a new car for yourself. Don't do it. Delayed gratification is the biggest thing and the most powerful thing in your business. By keeping that money in there, it's just going to continue to grow and grow over time. If you take it out, it kills the cycle. It kills your business. So do not do that. I understand you might be getting your first $1,000, $2,000 profit months. That's great. Leave it in there. Don't touch it. Get a completely separate bank account that is your business bank account. You do not touch that money at all. There will become a time and a point when you can buy nice stuff for you and that you think you might deserve it. Trust me, right now is not the time or point. Even for me, I've done over $1 million in sales in my business. I don't touch crap out of my business unless it's a necessity, unless I actually need it. Everything that I have, I'm constantly reinvesting because I add that number and I say, oh, well, I could take this $200 sneaker and buy it, something for myself, or I could put it in the stock market and get this return over this many years, right? Or put it back in my business and get this return over this many weeks. That's the way I'm thinking. That's the way you have to think if you want to scale and build a big business. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but those are really the steps to growing a successful reselling business from just starting at $1,000. If you guys go to my Instagram or even on my YouTube shorts, I've been posting a series where I'm starting with only $250 and flipping it into a house. I'm already at $4,400 in profit from just about 2 months. So starting with little capital is still very, very possible. Just know I'm limited, obviously, right? When I start with only $250. But again, now I'm at $4,400. That's a lot of money that I can reinvest and that I can continue to grow. And believe me, you'll start seeing some really exponential sales growth with that. So other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Have a blessed rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.